The Orlando Magic win by 30. All seems right in the world, right? It's the preseason. There's a lot to clean up, but the Magic answered the bell nonetheless today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is October 11th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic get another preseason win, another blowout preseason win at that, but it didn't really feel like a blowout while the Magic showed some of the faults in their system and where they still need to clean up, and why it's fine because they answered the call when they needed to. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you listen Monday through Friday, and then in our post-game episodes, either the morning after or right when we publish. I am promising that I'm going to get these out a little bit sooner than I used to on post-game episodes. Today, we didn't do that. I wanted to watch WNBA finals, but that's neither here nor there. Congratulations to Phoenix Mercury for a fantastic season. Congrats to Las Vegas Aces for winning the championship. Really great season all around from the WNBA. Please pay the players what they are worth, WNBA and NBA. Get that done, please. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Let's premise everything with this. It is still preseason. It is still the time to make mistakes, explore the canvas, figure things out. It does not have to be perfect yet. It does not have to be all buttoned up and tied together. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. We're going to talk a little bit about that in our second segment before we dive into the box score. But as I keep mentioning, my goal when I evaluate the preseason is the team getting progressively better? Are they better in game 2 than they were in game 1? Do they look closer to being ready for the NBA season? And look, the Magic won by 30. They took care of their business. In very many ways that I would say this game was a success. And the Magic do indeed look better than they did last week against the Miami Heat. But let's be clear about this too. The Magic have a lot of work to do. As promising, as exciting as this is, the Magic scored 128 points. Through 3 quarters, when their starters and bench unit played the entire stretch through 36 minutes, the Magic had an offensive rating of like 126. They scored 100 points about 2.5 minutes into the fourth quarter. So there is a lot that is working. And again, like, context matters here. Philadelphia was missing a lot of key players. Tyrese Maxey scored 17 points in 12 minutes, playing only the first quarter, and then sat the rest of the game. The Sixers are playing a lot of secondary players. They don't have the bodies the Magic have. The final score is as much a product of the Magic were able to kind of kept their starters into the third quarter, kept everybody kind of in that same rhythm, and they just kind of overwhelmed them with talent. Granted, as I always say, it's better to know someone can do something than they can't. The Magic put together a 7-0 run when Philadelphia took the lead in the third quarter after a spat of turnovers. The Magic had 3 turnovers and 5 possessions, allowed the Sixers to get back into the game after the Magic built a 7-point lead, I believe. Jamal Mosley called a timeout. The starters came back out, scored 7 quick points, reestablished their lead. They all platooned out. They did their work for the day. And then the bench group went on an 11-0 run and looked a lot better than they did against the Miami Heat, to be honest. That's not to be honest. That's fact. That's factual. They looked a lot better. Went on 11-0 run, made it a 15-point game. They held the Sixers to 32 points in the second half and only 8 points in the fourth quarter. it was a preseason game. The final score is a preseason game. And again, the Magic starters left. They were up by 6, I believe, when they left the game, or up by 5 when they left the game. Starters won their minutes. I think Tyus Jones was -3. Desmond Bane was +0. So, broke even in his minutes. So starters won their minutes. Whether it's good to do that against this undermanned of a Sixers team, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Very, very clearly, there are things to get really excited about with this Magic team. Just from what we're seeing, not expectations or anything else, just what we're seeing. The ball is moving around. The emphasis on pace has been really good. It is a big reason why the Magic's offense is seemingly functioning at a higher level. It is playing a lot better. Everything is flowing and moving, and you can see, like, as this thing comes together, and we saw Franz Wagner with the team for the first time, as this thing comes together, it has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. But there are still very, very clearly a lot of things to clean up. A lot of things to just tweak and get better at. The Magic turned the ball over 20 times. Philadelphia scored 26 points off those turnovers. A lot of those turnovers were just straight leading to runouts and getting into the paint. Just leading straight to runouts and didn't allow the Magic get their defense set. If there is a concern about playing faster, it's that there's more possessions. There's more opportunities to turn the ball over and make these mistakes. And when you're playing faster and the ball's kind of flattened out, you're not able to get back as quickly, you all of a sudden expose your defense in ways that you're not always comfortable with. The Magic in the half-court defense were mostly better. They didn't foul as much, but there was a lot of running up and down and both teams going back and forth because Philadelphia's also trying to play faster. Everybody's trying to play faster at this time of year. And so there's just a precision that needs to be found. There's just a lot of moments, and look, the Magic aren't shooting well yet. The starters went 1 for 10 from 3. Tyus Jones hit that only 3. It was to start that 7-0 run. There's just some things that need to be tightened up. And the question is, because the Magic haven't really played offense this way, is whether they're able to make the decisions at the speed and pace that the Magic want and do so effectively and efficiently. And do so at a high enough level that their defense can really take hold. Because the Magic are going to defend. And it's hard to judge that in this game because, yes, Philadelphia did not play very many of their starters. But let's give credit where it's due. Every time the Magic went through the spat of mistakes, they got challenged and they tightened up and answered the call. It's the reason why, like, this game felt like a bit of a mess with a lot of positives, a lot of negatives, just a bit of a mess. But the biggest thing you should take away is that every time the Magic got caught making these mistakes, and again, they just have to reduce the mistakes, and hopefully Sunday will be better than it was Friday. Every time they were able to kind of snap themselves back to attention, and when they played with that attention to detail and played with that intensity, they were really devastated on both ends. We'll talk about Wendell Carter here in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about Paolo's game here in a minute too. But they look like a truly devastating team. And right now, it's, the sloppy is outplaying and outweighing the very good. And so again, like, if the goal of preseason is to be better as the preseason proceeds and moves on, the fact that the second half was so much better than the first half. Like, when I saw the starters come out in the second half, I said to myself, the Magic need to lock in defensively in this quarter. If the starters are going to play into the second half against this Sixers team, we need to see what we need to see. And when they struggled with the turnovers early, I was like, that's not a good sign. When they came out of the timeout sharp and took control of the game, I was like, okay, they're fine. These are just momentary mistakes. These are just little things. They will keep getting better at it. The fact of the matter is this offense is, I don't want to say significantly different because it's a lot of the same concepts, but the mindset the Magic are trying to get at is much different than what we have seen from this team in the last few years. And so now is the time to like let it go. Just like reins go out there, figure it out, figure out your mistakes, figure out like the thought process that you need to make this work. And the Magic are making their mistakes. No other way to phrase it. They are making their mistakes right now. And that might be okay for the moment. Because when the Magic do need to tighten and when they do need to focus, they are delivering. And so that begs the next question. When do the Magic hit that next gear? Because frankly, it does feel like the Magic are not necessarily going through the motions. That's wrong. It feels like the Magic are letting up a little bit. We'll talk about that next gear and the proof that the Magic have a lot more left in the tank. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. It's that simple. It is so fast and easy to make a lineup. You can do it in less than a minute. You can combine different sports if you want, and once NBA season starts, because do not do anything with preseason stats. You can combine NBA players with NFL players. You can do MLB players as well in the MLB playoffs as well, if I'm not mistaken. Plus, I think they also have college sports as well. At least the last time I played, they did. And with Prize Picks, you can do their new feature called Stack. So if you want to ride with a player, you can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. The best part about Prize Picks is it is so much easier to win than other daily fantasy places. You're not going up against these massive player pools. It's just you and the numbers, the way it is supposed to be. And with their injury reboot feature, if your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Things that aren't your fault aren't your fault. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. There is a little, look, it's the second preseason game. And I think there is, at least to my eye, there is this notion that players know how to work themselves into shape for the season or work themselves into being ready for the season. And so, like, I'm not going to be so worried that certain players aren't playing particularly well right now or aren't like completely where we want them to be. Like the Magic aren't going to get 21 combined points from Paolo, Banchero, and Franz Wagner during the regular season. They're going to get 50. They're going to get somewhere between 50 and 60 combined points from those two. And so the preseason is a different kind of thing. And frankly, like they're working on different things and they're focused on themselves. Like I asked Franz about this. I've been asking some of the guys about this because, you know, they've been in the league a little bit. They know what to expect. You know, there's these expectations on the team now. And so while a lot of time in these preseason games is spent it's getting spent like getting a feel for where everyone's supposed to be. It's not about like getting your fingerprints all over the game. Like, look, Tyrese Maxey had 12 minutes to play. He went all out for 12 minutes and sat the rest of the game. Magic, that's not the Magic's approach. That's not how the Magic do things. So what they're asking and what they're hoping to see from their players is frankly a little different. So you look at the numbers and you look at the stats. Paolo Banchero finished with 13 points, 4 for 12 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, 5 for 6 from the foul line. The fact that he got to the foul line for 6 free throw attempts, I think spoke to a lot of his aggression and it was like, okay, Paolo's going to be fine. He knows what he's doing. In fact, there's a stretch there in the second quarter where Paolo, I think he started the game 1 for 7. There's a stretch there where Paolo was like 1 for 7 and just kind of smiling with the jumpers that he was taking and got to a point where it just looked like he was just kind of annoyed that he wasn't scoring and was just like ducking his head to the basket and getting to the foul line and trying like crazy moves to get and ones and got a few of them. I watch Paolo Banchero and I think like, oh, he's going to be fine. It's just rhythm and just intensity. And so like, a lot of the mistakes that I'm seeing, again, it's not that the Magic aren't necessarily not playing hard. The way I would describe it is they're like a track athlete in the heat, in the preliminary heats, where they pull up 50 meters short of the line because they know they've qualified and they don't want to expend energy that they don't have to expend. That's how I feel the Magic, and especially their main players, are playing. Like, I think Desmond Bane is trying to do too much, and he had 8 points in this game, 2 for 6, went 0 for 2 from 3. Again, the starters went 1 for 10, if I mathed correctly, which it appears I did. They went 1 for 10 from 3. The 3-point shots just aren't falling. The ball is flowing, it's moving, but like Paolo isn't trying to dominate games. Franz Wagner scored his 2 shots off of cuts. He was 8 points, 2 for 5 shooting, 4 for 4 from the foul line. He wasn't running pick and rolls. He wasn't necessarily driving and getting downhill like where you seeing him. He was just kind of moving off the ball and getting a feel for where his spots on the floor are going to be. And I think the Magic are more interested right now in creating a passing speed first mindset rather than saying this is how things are going to run. Because again, remember, like the Magic's approach is the games are an extension of camp, an extension of practice. And so practice has as much importance as the games. The only difference with games right now is that Jamal Mosley can't stop the game and sit and correct things in real time. A lot of these games are about problem solving and about, okay, how do you solve this problem? How do you figure out how to attack what this defense is doing? And frankly, like right now, I just get the sense that not necessarily that Paolo is uninterested in solving these problems and uninterested in these things, but I get the sense that Paolo is just I just don't want to like expend the energy to do the crazy thing that I have to do or to dominate the game. Like I don't need to have 20 shots in this game. Now I think like Paolo is hunting for some shots a little bit and testing some things out, but I wouldn't describe his motions and his movements at like regular season intensity. Again, that's not to criticize him. I think he's either conserving energy, he's just getting a feel for the floor, trying to keep others involved and let figure out where they're going to be more than where he's going to be, because he's going to get the ball. He's going to be doing things. It just feels like there is another gear for the Magic to reach. And because we know these players, it feels like it's there. And it feels like it's just about clicking that mentality on. And right now, these games are focused on different things. These games are focused on something else. And that's where I feel the Magic are at right now. That's where I feel what the Magic are trying to accomplish and what matters to them at this point. Is they're focused on how do we work as a group? Where are our shots going to come from? What is the mindset we're trying to bring to this offense? They're not looking to hit people as much yet, although Franz took a whack at Kelly Oubre Jr. And there's a lot of frustration for Franz because shots weren't falling or things weren't going the way he wanted them to in his stint. There's just some things to work out right now. And again, like the biggest thing that I'm complaining about from this game is just that the precision isn't there yet. Like we can all see they're making mistakes. The turnovers are kind of wild turnovers. Some of them are aggressive. Some of them are just like, that pass wasn't there. What are you doing? But better to know now that pass isn't there and not to throw that lob than to do it in a regular season game, in a game that counts. All of the mistakes the Magic are making right now are things that they can rein in. That's why I feel like there is another gear. There is a level the Magic can reach, a level the Magic can climb to. And it's just about waiting to unveil it. Maybe they're probably showing it in camp behind closed doors. There's no reason to expend more energy than you have to in these preseason games. They're part of the process. Don't get me wrong. They're public. That's what we have to analyze. But I really do feel like all the mistakes the Magic are making right now, the turnovers, the pace stuff, the pace getting out of control, like defensive rotation stuff, even some shot selection stuff, some of the shots they're taking and how over aggressive some players are. I feel like so much of that is just like, okay, this is the time to play around with it. This is the time to make these mistakes because they're things that we can bring back under control and say, okay, don't worry about it. We're good. We know what we're doing. We know where we are. We know what the mindset's supposed to be like. We know what we can't do, what we can do. And that when October 22nd comes around, let me make sure I have that date right. When October 22nd comes around and the Magic play that opening game against Miami, they'll have a lot of this stuff under control. There is that next gear. I think I hope we can all feel it. I hope I'm right about that. But it definitely feels like there's another gear that this team has in reserve that they'll reach soon enough. Let's run through the rest of the box score because there was a lot of positive individual play to talk about, even if the bigger picture hat was a little murkier. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. With FanDuel, there are so many great ways to play. You can build parlays, try player props, and even follow the live lines during games. There are even futures for the NBA. You can bet on who's going to win Coach of the Year, where Jamal Mosley is the current betting favorite at plus 600, 6-1 odds. You can bet on who's going to win the NBA Cup. Magic are favored to win their group, but among the favorites to win the entire NBA Cup, I believe they're still fifth on those rankings. You can even bet the Magic's over-under. It's set at 50.5. There's so much to do on FanDuel. You can even get in on the Magic's opening night game against the Miami Heat, where the Magic are favored, I believe, by 4.5 points. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, visit FanDuel.com, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets. That's on your first bet for new accounts. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, check it out at FanDuel.com. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends at Quo. One of the tools that makes a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying two phones or relying on a landline. With Quo, it lets your team share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. Whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional, and their built-in AI agent can answer after-hour calls, capture leads, and keep business moving even if you're off the clock. See why more than 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/lockedonNBA. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Once again, the Orlando Magic defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 128-98. They hold the Sixers to 32 total points in the second half, including just 8 in the fourth quarter. Generally, there's a lot of good. I want to make that clear. the important moments, the first half moments when both teams had their more regular, more veteran players on the floor, um, I felt like the Magic didn't perform. They just weren't fine tuned. It was just sloppy. And just like there were just moments where the Magic really struggled. They let the game get too up and down. I think if the Magic are going to play at this kind of breakneck speed that they've been playing at in these games, and I'm going to make sure I get this before we dive too deep into the stats. The Magic finished the game at a pace of 102 possessions per 48 minutes. Again, last year they were at like 96, 97 total. So 5 more possessions is like 10 extra points for everybody. There is still a lot for this Magic team to kind of build and grow on. So I want to make that really, really clear. There is still work to do. Having said that, as much as I'm focused more on the work that's left to do, there's still a lot of good that the Magic are doing. Paolo, again, looks like he's kind of skating by and just kind of dipping his toe in the water. Then, it feels like he's, again, pulling up like he's at the end of a race that he's qualified for. He scored 13 points, 4 for 12 shooting, 5 for 6 from line again. There's just a moment in that second quarter where he just looked like he was annoyed with how much he was missing shots and just bullied his way to the basket, drew fouls, and got to the foul line and just like seemed to be having a good time, even though he was still missing shots. So, I'm not worried about Paolo. He knows how to get himself ready. You saw that switch turn on and you're like, okay, no, he's fine. Franz still seems like he's kind of working himself back into the shape that he wants to be in the play that he wants to be in. He had 8 points, 2 for 5 shooting. Desmond Bane, again, similar to the game against Miami, didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I think the Magic are still figuring out the best ways to use him. I also think the Magic aren't showing us how they're going to use him yet. I do think the Magic are kind of letting him get a feel for where he can attack in this offense. I think he's been a lot on the ball a lot more. He's been looking to attack. He had his first kind of Desmond Bane pull-up three. He missed it, but he's not hunting for threes yet. That will change, and I think the Magic will get him better shots, and he'll get better shots when the Magic kind of really fine-tune their approach and what they're trying to do. He had 8 points still nonetheless. The star of the game for the Magic, though, was Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter at 20 points, 13 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds, shot 6 for 8, 8 for 9 from the foul line. Added 3 assists, had a block. Wendell Carter looks as healthy as he's looked for the last 3 seasons. He was jumping all over. I noted in the game against Miami that I thought he looked really active and energetic and just spry. I said he looked jumpy in a good way, just like he had bounce to his game. That bounce was still there, even though he got hit in the back on a screen, got hit in the eye, had to bring the goggles back out for a little bit. He looks spry. He looks energetic. He looks like he's got that second bounce, that second jump that I talk about a lot about when I talk about him as one of his shortcomings. He's just all over the place. He looks stronger, to be perfectly honest. He's absorbing contact really well, battling on the glass. I really love the way that Wendell Carter played. Good building off of the game last week. If this is the Wendell Carter we're going to get, that's going to be gobbling up offensive rebounds and just a huge presence on the inside, someone who can space the floor a little bit, sit in the dunker spot, just be really versatile. Everyone on the Magic knows that a good, aggressive Wendell Carter changes this team dramatically. I loved the way that he played in almost every fashion. And if this is the start, if this is how things are going to start off for him, this is going to be a really, really fun season for him. Anthony Black, I thought he played a lot better in this game than he did against the Heat. 12 points, 3 for 9 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, 5 assists, against 2 turnovers. So the turnovers were still a little bit of an issue, but not as huge of an issue as they were in the first game. He just, he's got to get better finishing at the rim. Again, just look like everyone, the idea that the Magic are playing faster, I think has sped them up in bad ways too. And so again, so much of this is just about controlling tempo and being at the right speed and being at a speed where you're playing fast, but it doesn't feel fast. It doesn't look fast to you, where you're still able to make decisions and everything is developing slowly in front of you, even if you're playing fast. And I think that's the big hurdle that the Magic are trying to get over and why they're still turning the ball over a lot. The Magic get 20 turnovers for 26 Sixers points. Sixers were really pressuring with their defense and their guards. They bothered the Magic in some fashion, but some of it is just the Magic are playing too fast. They just don't know how to control tempo quite yet. the call is just always play fast. And so when that happens and you're not under control, you make mistakes. You turn the ball over. And so Block overcooked a layup here and there. Again, just Magic had some like silly turnovers in the interior, some silly just turnovers dealing with pressure. But that's an area where like Black can continue to improve and be really successful at. Black also really benefited Goga Bitadze. Goga Bitadze had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 for 7 shooting. Love Goga's game. As active as Wendell Carter was, Goga Bitadze was also very, very active. Looked good around the basket, just in the right spots. Again, just really physical, especially for a preseason game. Loved what Goga Bitadze did in this one. Jace Richardson continued his really strong preseason. Again, to me, the big key for Jace was back up what you did Saturday. You played a really good game Saturday in your debut. You bounced back after a bad first half. Back it up. Let's get some data. Let's get some consistency. What are you going to give me every single night? And so the fact that Jace Richardson was 9 points, 2 for 2 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, no turnovers, really positive sign. Just loved his fight. He floats to the right areas on offense. He's confident as a shooter. He just doesn't back down from anybody. The only issue is that, yes, the defense is going to be a little bit of a problem. And it's the same for Tyus Jones, to be perfectly honest. And Tyus has still got some work to do as well. And he's a veteran. You trust that he'll be ready when the season begins, when the game starts, that he knows how to prepare himself. And again, just like part of the issue with this preseason is it just feels like Paolo and Franz are at an age where they can kind of figure out like, okay, this is what we need to prepare ourselves. Let's focus on us. Tyus is the same way. Dez is the same way. I think Dell is the same way. Like they know what they want to accomplish in these games. And it's an individual thing they're trying to accomplish, not necessarily a team thing they're trying to accomplish. But Jace got attacked defensively. The Magic were switching late in the first quarter. Tyrese Maxey was hunting Jace Richardson, attacking him, getting to the basket. And look, Tyrese Maxey's an all-star level player. Played really, really well in this game. Magic just did not have the guards to handle him, especially with the way they're trying to switch on defense. Another really, really strong game from Tristan da Silva. Tristan da Silva is going to be a player this year. Like he's going to be good. 12 points, 4 for 6 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. Just making really good decisions, attacking when he needs to attack. This is the Tristan da Silva we imagined we were getting. And again, like he did this at Eurobasket. He's doing this now for the Magic. Just in the right spots, under control, composed, not trying to do too much. It's been a really strong, I felt like a really strong effort and a really strong game from, it's been a strong summer. Obviously it's been a strong preseason. Both these games, again, just looking for consistency across the 2 games. Tristan da Silva has been that dude, just in the right spots, aggressive, looking to do more, but not looking to do too much. So a lot to like from Tristan da Silva. The only like interesting rotation tweak today, Magic played everybody. Jalen Suggs and Will Wagner obviously accepted. They played everybody, but they let Jet Howard get the run with the second unit. And Jet, I thought, played well. I want to give Jet his credit. 9 points, 3 for 7 shooting, 3 for 6 from 3. I think he is playing really, really hard on defense. I think he's made some strides. Is it enough? We'll find out. The shots are going down for him. He's not trying to do too much. I think there's a lot to like with Jet Howard. Now, is it enough to get on the floor? That is the ultimate question. But in order for Jet to play, the Magic sat Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac did not check in until the fourth quarter, played 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. And look, J.I. looks and he played the 5 against rookie Janai Broom. J.I. shot is still a work in progress. Like, no doubt about it. Like, he's just not hitting threes comfortably. He scored 3 points in the game, 1 for 3 from the floor, 1 for 2 from the foul line. But defensively, he looked like he was back to being like the monster that he is, just all arms everywhere. And so that's a positive sign, I think, from Jonathan Isaac. But doing it against deep bench guys. So just something to keep an eye on. I like what I saw from Noah Penda. He had 7.6 rebounds, played all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. Looks confident shooting threes, sometimes hunting them a little too much. I think discipline is going to be a big thing with Noah. That's even defensively. He gravitates to the ball and he'll make a lot of plays, but he'll also leave his man. So some things to tweak there. I really like the Magic's 2-way guys. Like usually I'm pretty like in and out on the 2-way guys. Obviously they won the fourth quarter, like 32-4, I think was the final score in that fourth quarter, or 32-8 in that fourth quarter, excuse me. But I really like Jamal Cain, 3 for 4, 6 points. Magic 2-way guy I thought was really active. Reese Beekman had 4 assists. Really liked his game. He didn't score, only took 1 shot, but really liked the effort that Reese Beekman put in defensively. Lester Quinones, sorry if I mispronounced that, also really, really active. I love the way that he played. And I'm a big fan of Orlando Robinson. I think he's going to be a really solid third center as a two-way guy for this team as well. The Orlando Magic shoot 48.8% from the floor, so good shooting game. 11 for 32 from 3, not so good. Again, 1 for 10 with the starters, so the non-starters went 10 for 22, a little bit better on there. Magic were 37 for 42 from the line. They get to the foul line a lot, get 19 offensive rebounds. Sixers were led in scoring by Tyrese Maxey and his 17 points. He scored all of them in the first quarter, did not play after the first quarter. Kennedy Chandler came off the bench with 16 points and 4 steals, really active. I like the Sixers deeper bench guys who played in this game. They played with a lot of energy. A big reason why Philadelphia was able to kind of stay in this game was just for the fact that they played with a ton of energy. They played like they were playing for contracts, whereas the Magic were playing like we're working on themselves. And so the Sixers were able to outwork the Magic on a few occasions. That won't work in the regular season, but we'll live with it for now in the preseason. Philadelphia ends up shooting only 8 for 34 from 3. They have 14 offensive rebounds, a lot of them very early in the game. And they shoot only 14 for 20 from the foul line. So the Magic did clean up the fouling, and eventually their defense rounded into form. The Orlando Magic defeat the Philadelphia 76ers 128-98. They are back in action Sunday at the Kia Center against the Miami Heat. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Film I See Along podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find us as well on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Monday through Friday newsletter, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, go make your second listen, the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And Josh, I am still waiting the text that the jerseys are ready. They will be in the mail, hopefully next week. We'll get those to you. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back Sunday night to recap the Magic's preseason home opener at the Kia Center against the Miami Heat. We hope to see you there at the Kia Center. If not, we'll see you here on the pod at the very least. Until then, have a great weekend. Have a great football Saturday. Go Gators, go Wildcats, go Knights, charge on, all that good jazz. We'll see you next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.